Hey, aloha everybody. How's it? How's it? Let me make sure I turn my clock on. Okay, everybody. I hope you guys are in the right place. My name is Larson Ng. I'm a member of the faculty here at the University of Hawaii Manoa College of Education, specifically for the Hokulipi program, but given a wonderful opportunity to serve as part of the grad faculty amongst the master's programs in Department of Curriculum Studies as well as in our own EDD program at the college. As such, the courses that I teach outside of conducting research primarily for Native Hawaiian education, the courses I do teach is either in the research realm, qualitative, quantitative methods, and like the title, stats. I teach that as well. Now, having said that, a little bit about myself. Born and raised in Kalihi over here. So I thought it was fitting. I wore the shirt, the governor's shirt. Though I'm not a graduate of the governor's, my father was. I mean, we live in what I call the Kalihi Triangle. The Kalihi Triangle is anchored by KPT, Camp 4 Housing, and Marites. That's what I call the triangle, where, have I say, only the damned lived, where I lived. Now, having said that, the cutoff, unfortunately, during my generation was Palama, so I ended up in McKinley High School on that side instead of here. Nevertheless, I'm still Kalihi. Now, educational journey, obviously, I went to Olikili Elementary School down there past Hall Tailing, Central Middle, and then McKinley. Now, the topic of today, I wanted to discuss Pidgin and stats. And let's face it, one of the hardest courses in any program, undergrad or graduate alike, is statistics. That's the one course is the GPA destroyer and whatnot. And for me, going through graduate school, oh God, so much graduate school, on the way finishing my doctorate in economics, stats was the death knell. I was taught stats by some of the best teachers. I mean, obviously, they're the most technically sound people in the department. They only spoke numbers and math. That was their language, which is foreign to me and whatnot. But I promised myself, if and when given the opportunity to be able to give back and to teach statistics, I will not be that computer that you'll be talking to, thinking in the abstracts. That leads me then, why do I use Pidgin? And most recently, teaching statistics to the EDD students in our Cohort 3 EDD program. Well, I found that using Pidgin, especially in the realm of the subject matter of statistics, one, it reduces the anxiety of the subject matter. Again, stats is the most horrifying topic that gives goosebumps. And even for me, that deranged now that I like it and I actually teach it, that's all permanent head damage, right? PhD. It does alleviate the anxiety of that subject matter. Being able to communicate into that language, I don't lose people. In my own experience, especially with stats, and for those who have took it, if you don't understand in that first day, you're going to be lost to the rest of the semester. So from my own experience, I knew I need to catch my students quickly, particularly in the EDD program. Just as a little bit background, the students of the EDD programs are usually your non-traditional students. These are people who are professionals in the field, upper echelon DOE, schoolmasters from whether it's Punahou ILH schools, neighbor islands, and the like. So they're coming back to get their doctorate. And the last thing they want to learn is stats. And the last thing, even worse, they want to learn that is to be spoken to by one of the machines that usually teaches it, usually from China, which were my professors. Which, oh my God, it was horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Now, again, it reduces the anxiety and the fear. The second, I found that using Pidgin selectively. Now, I don't teach Pidgin all the way in the course. I find that in some ways it is possible, but I'm not a linguist in that sense. I'm just a practitioner. Selective use of Pidgin in that course. It aids in knowledge retention. How does it aid in knowledge retention? Particularly, not so much about the spoken, but in the examples that I use. That comes from the worldview of Pidgin into the examples, in which towards the end of my talk, we will go through a class exercise to give you an example of how I utilize it in the classroom. The third part, why I use Pidgin in the classroom, it builds self-confidence in the subject matter. Now, maybe it's a detriment for me to say this, but if they see me, someone from Kalihi, public school educated, proud to say, not from Punahou or anything like that, where my students are from, it breaks down that barrier by thinking, well, gee, my God, that Kalihi guy learned it. Hey, I can learn it too. I'm smarter than that guy, right? He's only public school. Yeah, I can do it. I can do it. That's fine. That's okay if they have such beliefs. But the point being that the knowledge that I will convey in the class will be absorbed, to which they can use to the rest of their program. Now, having said that, now comes the fun part. You come here to hear a little bit of how it's used in classroom, and that's what we will do. How many people already have the handout? Does everybody have, or who's do not? Do we have any more handouts left? The handout you receive is assignment 1. This is the actual assignment that I use, that I give my students stats. How many people here took stats already? How many people passed it? Solid, solid. Now, as we go through the lesson, you'll notice I'll be code switching from left and right, and as I deem fit, by watching everybody's faces in the audience to see. And again, I cannot lose you. I must win you now. Okay? So, everyone pay attention. This is not going to be hard. It's going to be easy, easy, easy. Okay, I'm going to read them for you. Make it easy for you. Okay? You're the assistant of the principal of Farrington High School. The budget cuts forced Farrington to fire its worst performing teacher based on the criteria of how many students they had to flunk for the school year. Your campus stats man has given you the stats of the worst performing teachers in this school. The worst. These are the teachers that flunked out more people than anybody else in your school. So you know what's going to happen next. Now then, however, out of the 3, it turns out one of the teachers on this list is the one you hate the most. This is the one you like crank. I'm going to crank this guy. Good, he's on the list. Solid. But another teacher on the list is your best bud, your honey boy or honey girl over there. It's a science teacher. And the third is the most popular teacher with the students. Now, you don't like get all crazy, get the pilikia if you piss off this one. Your job, you have in front of you the people, the stats of these 3 teachers in terms of what data you see. In other words, these are the people, how much people they've been flunking in their classrooms from 2000 to 2009. Everybody with me so far? Anybody lost? You understand what you see in front of you? If you don't, too bad. Okay. Everybody, okay, for the stats part, everybody understands what mean is. What does mean mean? Besides I'm mean and pissed. No, mean. Average, right? Everyone get them. Everyone understands median. Middle number of the pack. Mode is the most recurring number. Now then, just by eyeballing this really fast, can anybody tell me which one should be given the boot out of Farrington? That's not given. You only can judge from what stats has been given. This is a stats course, remember now. Real quickly. No right or wrong. Actually, there is. Just throw out an answer. I like criticize somebody.
English teacher.
English teacher. Why do you say English teacher?
Because it has the highest mode.
The highest what?
Mode.
The highest mode. Mode is just the recurring numbers. It's not an average, right? No? But that's your justification. Good. Anyone, any other answers? Why the science teacher? Anybody? Easy. Come on. She failed the most. What about the other stats? What's the other stats tell you? What's the average she flunked every year? Is that the highest? Yeah. How about for the median mode? Okay, the recurring number, so yeah, the 5 always appears every other year. The median is just the middle number, the actual of everybody she failed. So long story short, you're absolutely right. It should be, theoretically, the science teacher. Looking over from 2000 to 10 years, this last 10 years, she flunked the most students. This person, also your friend, unfortunately, she flunked the most every year. So you're going to have to tell the bad news. So that's the person, at least in this exercise, you had to tell your principal. Now, having said that, as I went through that spiel, you notice it's not done in complete Pidgin, but nevertheless, it's interjected as accordingly. Sometimes it gets more heavy depending on the responses as they're given. Now, granted, this is not, you know, inclusive or anything like that, nor am I making it sounded to be, but just as an example, at least of how I do it on a graduate level in statistics. So actually, this is actually what has transpired. And as a parting note, as I last shared, as I mentioned, I do use the worldview of Pidgin, especially in grading. In my class, you get A, B, or C, right? But I don't call it that. If you get an A in my class, I write on your paper, you get sashimi. That's grade A. That's the best ahi you can get. If you get B in my class, you get poke. Yeah? That's grade B. If you get C, you get what? 7-Eleven sushi. And anything below that, for those who appreciate where we are in Farrington, and for those who went to either KS or I forgot the public school around the Catholic school over there, but if you get anything lower than a C, you get kapalama canal crab on your pepper. And that's, you flunk. Now, having said that, I know my time, I'm out. My time is up. 1 minute. Okay, so no, just to wrap up. Again, that's just a little example of how I do it, at least on the graduate level. And again, I don't look at this as dumbing down or anything. It's just more bridging the gap, particularly with the subject matter of being in statistics. Having said that, I appreciate everyone's attention. Thank you for putting up with me. Mahalo bra. Any questions? Shoot.
You get 5 minutes for like a...
Oh, question and answer. Oh, yeah. Any questions? I'm sorry. Yes, please.
Have you ever gotten a student that doesn't know like what you're saying and they're just like completely lost and it stands as harder because of that?
When I'm code switching into Pidgin, you mean?
Yeah.
Then I would back up and go back into whatever we call English. I would back up with that person. Or either, if worst comes to worst, I go directly, after class and whatnot. Again, I do cater to the majority, and particularly for the EDD cohorts, it's not your traditional PhD program. We have a lot of local students, so code switching into Pidgin is probably more preferable at this point. And then the key, again, it starts on that first day. Once you lose them the first day, I lost them the entire semester. So again, speaking in Pidgin allows me to keep them in tune and engaged every time. Even though the subject matter, as you can imagine, will get more difficult when we move from descriptive to integral statistics and we go to regression and God knows parametric and blah, 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 like that. But again, as long as we can see eye to eye and they see me and they know that, well, I'm not one of these foreigners that teaches stats, it's actually a guy from here, then, okay, in the back of their minds, I can get him, I can do this. I look at him, I got him, I gotta get this, or I really dumb. I hope I answered your question. Yes?
Mine is not a question, it's more of a comment.
Sure.
Pidgin is performative, and I think you really highlight that.
Oh.
There's a lot of body language that goes into when we talk Pidgin. And
Really?
so-
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't
so
know.
I'm
Oh, it's
wondering,
normal.
as a matter of fact, I just interviewed someone who told me that some of the things that happen when you're speaking Pidgin has been mainstreamed into foreign sign language. So yeah, I mean, that's to that level. So I'm just wondering, do you think that works for when you have students in the class that don't speak Pidgin? So
Oh.
in other words, that your body language makes up the linguistic gap. that
Definitely.
is there for non-
Most definitely. Again, humans are, even before we spoke, right, from a linguistic standpoint, we speak by our hands and our body motion. So intrinsically, I'm hoping for that. And then back to your question, if they don't catch me like that, the body language and especially the expressions on how I, look, and then when I give them, get something wrong with you. Slaps, I mean, and the like. So no, point taken. Excellent. Yeah, that's true. Of course, I'm not thinking of it, right? It's just normal.
Yeah.
Normal. More questions? Anything? Yes.
Pidgin is actually very informal, and it can be direct without being insulting.
Yes.
Do you agree with me?
It can. It's kind of hard. Again, I'm Kalihi, so everything is insulting over here. Everything is always combative, as I think Augie, or I forgot, I think if not Daryl, Scott was mentioning. There is a combative tone. And for myself, I control it by reverting back to English. When I see myself getting too involved, and then naturally tantaran comes out, the big body comes out, and then no, I remember. Wait, where am I? Okay, no, I'm not in Kalihi now. Okay, so I would take a step back and code switch back accordingly, like that. Because no, every pigeon is different. Every island pigeon is different. Kalihi pigeon is different. And granted, just by the very nature of socioeconomic, we've evolved, unfortunately. It's a more combative place. It's a tough place to live. So the pigeon that we use, the particular words, especially from me and my classmates, it was always near confrontational. So it's not to say all pigeons that way. No, I'm not making that assumption or presumption on them. I can only speak from where I was raised. This merits housing, right? So basically, you had to be ready always. So that was infused into the language and the mannerisms of how we spoke. Again, the manliness thing, right? I hope I answered your question.
Well, so you're taking it into, at the university, right?
Yes.
And then you have a mix of kids.
Yes.
Have you ever gotten to a situation where it was too direct and you couldn't come back from it, and so how do you bridge it again?
Oh.
Bridge that relationship again because you came up too informal for
I-
that person? Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I get what you mean. It might leave a bad taste, but what brings it back home is that, again, this is a stats class, so eventually the mathematics language will come back out. And so even though they might have said, oh, this guy rubbed me the wrong way, but when they go back, oh, God, what was that equation again? That's what you're going to be great at, so they kind of forget about it after a while. Because in the end, I don't water it down. Even though I use the pigeon to create an atmosphere conducive that I feel amongst, given the subject matter, and to the students I have, they can ingrain and take it in. But nevertheless, at the end of the day, you're going to do the summation squares, you're going to be tested on this, and that's where and I let them know, make sure you focus on that and whatnot. But again, I just been maybe fortunate that I had never lost, I'm proud to say I never had to couple on a canal anybody in my class. Anything else? Anything more?
My husband teaches physics, and they present nationally at every year doing a CAMSAT competition, and his group has gone from first to fifth at least 10 times competing internationally with graduate students across the country, and he's from PCC. And I just watched one of his students do his whole CAMSAT presentation in Pidgin. So I think it can be formal. When you're using those words, and you're talking about a different syntax, right? So I think depending on what you're actually expressing, it can be quite formal, and it doesn't damage your ethos as a teacher. That would be my take. Because I don't know, they still won. And that
Solid.
was in Florida. So yeah.
Cool. Anything? Any other comments? Everybody ready to take my stat class?
All right, thanks.
Much mahalo.